What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the ThriveAfterSports podcast. I'm your host, as always, Taj Deshawn. This episode is going to be a little different. I'm going to talk to you about honoring your creativity, tapping into your creative gifts, and how you can utilize those gifts in business, in everyday life. I think sometimes when we get into the working world as adults, we lose track of those creative things that we were doing as a child, or things that we are a creative side, and we become all work and no play. And so something I've been practicing lately, and I'll get into this a little bit more in a second and tell you what it means for you, but something I've been practicing more lately is allowing my creative side, or the things that lit me up as a child, to be more incorporated, or bringing those things to the forefront more in my daily life, in my business life. So I'm going to do a couple of things at the end of this episode. I'm going to play you some music that I've been working on lately. Matter of fact, I'll just share a quick preview right now. Here's a quick snippet of some of the music I'm going to play for you that I've been working on.
My son about to be born, I feel the weight on my chest. Frustration saying in, but I'm just doing my best. Real life examinations, put myself to the test. Keep your eyes on the prize, look alive on this quest. See, what else is a man but a quest to be great? I hope you understand that it's never too late. I know it's weighing on you, got a lot on your plate. I got a date with destiny, but I'm controlling my fate.
So the thing that sparked the idea for this episode was actually an interview I did with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ken Coleman, someone who I look up to as a pioneer in the career coaching space. He's part of the Dave Ramsey Network, written several books. And so I got to interview him on my podcast, and I learned a lot through that episode. I really admire his approach to helping people find meaningful, fulfilling careers, which is, as you know, something that I'm really passionate about when it comes to working with anyone, really, but specifically the work that I do with athletes. I'm always trying to help them get through their transition out of their sport, even if they haven't played in years, right? Figure out who you are outside of the jersey, and then get 100% clear on where you're going, because it's so important to me. And I think to everyone at some level, it's so important to be able to wake up and do something that you are passionate about and you fully enjoy. And that doesn't mean that we don't need to do things that we need to do to make ends meet. Like I always say, do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And sometimes you may be doing what you have to do in order to do what you want to do, and you're doing both at the same time. But I think the ultimate goal is for all of us at some point to be able to just wake up and get paid to be ourselves. And that may sound like, yeah, well, if I was to be myself, I would just lay around on the beach all day and, drink Mai Tais. But ultimately, I think as humans, we're designed to create. And so because of that, even if you were to have all the money in the world, there's still this desire to be able to create something, to build something, to make a contribution, right? Or to tap into your creative gifts. So the reason I'm bringing up Ken Coleman is because if you haven't heard that episode, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to that one. It's episode 230 on this podcast. The title is All Work is a Form of Creation. And that's really what I wanted to dive deeper on today. I think a lot of us, like I said, have gifts that go untapped. There are so many people who have great design skills, or skills for doing things with their hands, right? Working and creating things. Some people are great builders physically. Some people are great with more of like material design and things like that. Painters, musicians. And I know a lot of people who have creative ideas and things that they're really good at, that people would be astounded by some of the work they do. But for whatever reason, because it doesn't pay the bills, or they don't see a path to where they can actually earn a living off of it, they just let those talents and skills fall by the wayside. And they're like, yeah, I kind of want to do this thing, but I'm not going to do it because I won't be able to earn a living off of that. Case in point, I know a guy who I had a conversation once. He found out about ThriveAfterSports, reached out to me. I don't want to give all his information away, but it was a guy who reached out and was like, hey, Taj, I could use your support. We never ended up working together. We did a phone call, and I was even at a point where I was going to get him some access to grant money and scholarship money so that he can work with me for free. For whatever reason, he never followed up. So, hey, it is what it is. Sometimes people reach out and we end up working together for years. Sometimes people reach out, never hear from them again. In this particular case, the guy told me that he was working a job that he just kind of fell into after he finished playing his sport. And he had a passion for creating highlight tapes, highlight videos of basically A good example of what he wanted to do was if you look up sick edits on YouTube. It's sick and then edits with a Z instead of an S. So sick. So SICKEDITZ. And I believe it's HD. So sick edits with a Z, HD. This guy makes some of the best highlight tapes and like, especially college football. He makes like college football pump up videos whenever a new season is about to start. And then he picks certain players that he likes, that he admires, like some of the best players in college football, or just players that you may not have heard of, but he thinks that they're super talented, and he creates highlight tapes. And he's built a business off of this, where basically if you're a college athlete and you want to have a highlight tape made, then you can pay him and he'll make like the coolest highlight tape with the music and the visuals and all that type of stuff. So anyway, the young man that reached out to me told me that he was working his day job, but he had a desire to be like sick edits. And one of the things I told him was to never lose sight of that, meaning, hey, keep working your job. Ideally, you know, my plan, if we were going to work together, was to help him find a role that he could do that wasn't as time consuming, right? Something that he could do that allowed him to have a little bit more flexibility in his schedule, like working from home, working less hours, but making the same amount of money, if not more money, because that would have given him more time to create. And hey, look, even if I would say no matter how many hours you're working, I don't care if you're working 50, 60 hours a week, if you don't, you know, have time to create until you're off of work and you've had dinner and now it's 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, from 9 o'clock at night to midnight or 1 in the morning or however long, that's time for you to be creative. And that's really the advice that I was sharing with him, is like, hey, if you want to do this, in order for you to get to the skill set that Sick Edits has reached, you're going to have to do a high volume of videos. You may not release all of them to the public, but you still want to make time, not find time, make time to be able to put out content that is going to allow you to get your practice reps in. And you have to do it late at night or early in the morning until you can start reaping the rewards and seeing money come in from this thing. And I told him on the flip side, even if you don't see a penny from this, because it's a desire of yours, you should still do it. You never know what could happen. Someone may see your videos and want to hire you to make videos for their company, or you may have an athlete who sees your work and he just wants to pay you to follow him around and make content and create a bunch of, you know, miniature highlight tapes. Like, but the bottom line is you have to be putting it out simply for the sake that you enjoy it. And if you make money from it, that's great. But you'll never know if you're going to make money for it if you don't put anything out. And to this day, I could be wrong. Maybe I don't follow him on all his accounts. I think he said TikTok was going to be a place where he was putting it out. He was going to make the videos, put them on YouTube, and then put snippets on TikTok. So I'm not on TikTok. I won't get into the reasons why, but I'm not on TikTok. So I don't know if he's putting out content there, but I definitely haven't seen this young man put anything out on YouTube. And it's sad because from what I saw, he was very talented. And I think that he could have made a lucrative career out of it, but he probably just got caught up in the job, and maybe he comes home from work and just kicks his feet up and doesn't make any content. And it's unfortunate. So I share that story with you to say that all of us have something like that. I know you're thinking of it right now. You know, like my wife, as an example, is a phenomenal painter. At one point, we were even thinking about putting her through interior design school just because she has such a good eye. She actually makes all of my thumbnails. You know, like I'm terrible at that type of stuff. I'm more just like, hey, let me record this and put it out. And she's like, no, you need to have a thumbnail and let me change this font and move this around. And if you look at some of the content, if you look at some of the thumbnails or lack thereof, I wasn't even putting thumbnails on my YouTube videos early on, but the content that I have now, when I put it out, it for the most part usually has a thumbnail, and she designs all that stuff. So I can get in there in Canva and mess around, but it's gonna look like a guy did it versus like having a feminine touch and looking very organized and neat with the fonts and the colors and all that type of stuff. So my wife is very good at that, and she still paints from time to time. You know, I think honestly I think her painting is good enough to where she could sell it and put it in an art gallery, but you know, there's only so much time in a day, and maybe I need to do a better job of encouraging her to work on her art. But at the same time, she still does find ways to utilize her artistic ability in daily life, whether that's the content she puts out for her business or helping me with content, or even the work that she does is a form of art, right? She does permanent makeup, which is essentially lip blush, eyebrows, basically like they call them, it's microblading, like ombre tattoos. Like she just put out some content that's going viral recently where there's a terminal cancer patient who's one of her clients. I don't know how long she has to live, but one of the things that she wanted to do was just, to treat herself. She wanted to beautify, and she doesn't really have eyebrows. So she went to see my wife, and my wife gave her these really nice looking eyebrows, like permanent makeup. So she doesn't have to apply makeup or anything. It's just like she has eyebrows that look like real hair strokes. And this is a woman who's a cancer patient and now has, is feeling more beautiful with the time that she has left on this earth, because my wife designed some beautiful eyebrows that look natural. And she's walking around with eyebrows now after having none because she's going through chemotherapy. So when you think about stuff like that is a way where my wife has found a way to use a creative pursuit, design, artistic skills in a way that is actually helping people, and she's getting paid for it, right? And even if she wasn't getting paid for it, there are still things that she would do and has done and is continuing to do that allow her to exercise that creative side of herself. Me, as an example, I love music. I've always enjoyed working on music. Matter of fact, I've been talking for a little bit, so let me just play you a quick snippet right now of another song you're about to hear at the end of this episode.
The only thing remains the same is everything is gonna change. I dedicate this to my family, you've been keeping me sane. I'm finding reasons to be grateful even when I'm in pain. I got a baby due December, I'ma give him my name. Can't wait till he get old enough for me to give him some game. I'm looking at the bigger picture, reconstructing my frame. Baby, I'm on the way to get you on the roast with your lane. She held it down when I had nothing, look at who I became.
All right, since I was talking about music again, I just wanted to give you a quick taste. So anyway, for me, musically, and by the way, before I get into talking about music and I play you these episodes, I just want to say I hope what I'm saying today is landing. I don't know why this was put on my heart to share, but I know it's going to resonate with someone. And I want you to really think about how things that you are good at creatively, how you can incorporate that into your day job, your business, or if it's something that's totally separate, I want you to think about how when you're not working, doing whatever it is that you do to pay the bills, how can you incorporate that creative side of yourself in a way that will allow you to use it as an outlet? I think having that creative outlet is important because it can almost be a form of like unwinding or almost like a reset. Like for me, when I've had a long day, I love to open up my laptop, get the keyboard out, maybe get the guitar, and just start working on some music. Even if I never release it, it's just like therapeutic for me to build and create and structure songs or write lyrics or record myself. And my wife does the same thing. Like sometimes when things get really hectic, or she's been watching the baby for a while and she just needs a bit of a break, I will watch the baby and she'll just paint or something because it's therapeutic. So that's the message I'm really trying to get across in this episode. So think of something that you do or you have done, maybe you haven't done it in a while. Maybe it's dancing or singing or painting. There's so many different forms of creativity, right? But I want you to think of something that you haven't exercised in a while or something that you could exercise more. And how can you incorporate that into your work or your business? Or how can you incorporate that into your unwind time to give yourself that creative outlet? And I think you'll find that when you use that time to be more creative, whether you're making money from this creative pursuit or not, when you use that time, you will go back to your work or everyday life more refreshed. Like me, when I have had a long day, instead of, oh man, it's been a long one, let me just click on the TV and watch something. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes I watch TV to unwind, not very often, but I find that if I've had a long day and I say, okay, instead of clicking on the TV, let me work on some music. By the time I'm done working on music, whether I just made a beat or wrote some lyrics or recorded something, I'm more refreshed. Like I'm like more present when I'm hanging out with my wife and my son or whoever I'm hanging out with, simply because I took the time to give myself that creative recharge or reset. Like I exercise my God-given ability, this ability that we all have. God is whether you're religious or not, God is a creator. God created us. He's a generative, creative God. And so because of that, if we're made in his image, right? Once again, no matter what you believe, we are designed to create something. So don't let too many days go by where you haven't created something and you're just going through the motions and existing. All right, let me get off my soapbox. You get the point. The reason that I'm deciding to release this episode and share some of this music is because I was listening back to that episode, once again, episode 230 with Ken Coleman. Check it out. Great episode. The title being All Work is a Form of Creation. And then I was thinking to myself, you know what? I haven't released music in years. Some of you guys know this about me. When I graduated from college, I was like so anti going into the workforce. I was like, I do not want to get a desk job and sit in a cubicle. I'm going to be a music producer. And I lived kind of close to Hollywood at the time. So I was like, man, I could really make it. And I was making beats and I was working in the music industry, doing like public relations type stuff. And then I had this moment where I had been doing that for like a year. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm willing to be broke. I didn't love it that much, like the way I love Thrive After Sports. Like I have been broke trying to build Thrive After Sports. You guys know that whole story. That's how I know I love it because I went broke trying to do this. And you fast forward it's been 6 years. That's crazy. 6 years since I started Thrive After Sports. You fast forward 6 years later, I'm still doing it. And I found a way to earn a living. And it's work that's meaningful to me. Like even if I went broke again, I would keep Thrive After Sports going. So, or at least in some way. So, but when it came to the work I was doing in the music industry, I was trying to make music and I was working at a couple public relations firms as an unpaid intern, driving back and forth to Hollywood every day, no money coming in. I realized I didn't love it that much, meaning like I love making music, but I wasn't willing to bet my financial future on whether or not I made it as a music producer, as an artist. But that being said, it's always something that I've continued to do because I enjoy working on music. And so listening to the episode with Ken Coleman made me realize, like, look, you're sitting on all this music that you've been recording. I think arguably, because I've always stayed at it, I've gotten better and better to the point where I went from just making beats to writing my own lyrics to eventually recording myself. And I think I sound halfway decent. A little bit of rapping, a little bit of singing here and there. I'm like, this, I played it for a few people and they're like, Taj, this is actually pretty good. So not that I would, once again, I have a son now, so I'm not just going to be like, all right, drop everything. I'm just going to try to be a rapper or an artist or a musician. I don't think I'm that good. I think I'm good enough to where people could hear it and be like impressed enough to say, Tosh, I didn't even know you made music. So anyway, and I've shared some of my music before. If you go back to episode 175 with Whitney Davis, the title of the episode 175, Whitney Davis, creative director, writer, comedian, and producer. Whitney Davis, at the end of that episode, inspired me to share some of the music I was working on at the time. So if you go back and listen to that interview, great interview, by the way. Whitney was a former basketball player at Stony Brook, my alma mater. And when she graduated, kind of bounced around in the workforce for a little bit, trying to figure it out like we all do. And then eventually started creating content, not just on social media, but like started writing and producing her own shows. And now she's been featured in like, big time TV shows and has her own creative projects that she puts out. But like she realized that she wanted to be a comedian, like a creative writer and a director and produce her own shows. And she just took it and ran with it. And, we graduated around the same time. So let's just say 10 years ago. Let's say she graduated from college 10 years ago, and it's taken her all this time, really over the past year or two, around the time we did that interview, to like have content that's going viral and to have roles in movies where she's getting paid, and it's really cool to see. So, but anyway, I bring that up because that was another episode that sparked me to say, like, you know what? Someday I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and I have all this content that I'm sitting on. And let me just put this music out. It doesn't matter. I don't have to be attached to what people think about it. Like you might think it's trash. That's great. But some people, the people who I've played it to so far, like people who I know personally, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And maybe they're just being nice, but they're like, man, this is pretty good, Taj. Like you make your own music, you write your own lyrics, you're recording stuff, like your voice sounds good on the track. This is great. And I love the content. To me, that's what I pride myself on. And I think you'll hear that once I get into playing some of these songs for you, is the content like of what I'm talking about is just very real and personal to me. And so one thing that I don't think you'll be able to say about my music when you hear it is that it sounds like anything else that's popular right now. I'm not trying to sound trendy. I'm just like, hey, this is the music that resonates with me. This is what's on my heart to share. And, these are the lyrics that are being downloaded to me from source. So I'm sharing this with you guys and it's very personal. I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to play you some songs. If you look in the show notes, if you want to hear this music without commentary, just go to my SoundCloud. I haven't taken the time to try to put the music on Apple or Spotify or anything yet. Honestly, I don't, there's only so much time in a day. I'm just like, hey, what's the easiest way I can put this out on my podcast and through SoundCloud? So I'll figure out once I get it more like mixed and mastered and I get it sounding the way I want to. These are just rough edits. So once I get the sound the way I want to, then I'll probably look into getting it distributed on Apple Music and Spotify and the whole nine. But for now, if you want to hear the music straight through, just click the link in the show notes, go to my SoundCloud. It's the top 4 recent tracks that are on there. So you'll see Supply and Demand. You'll see All Right, Okay. You'll see The Rest. And then you'll see Around Us / Running Shoes. So those are the 4 tracks that I'm releasing. And then there's a bunch of old stuff on there, stuff I released like 5 years ago, even longer than that, a bunch of instrumentals that are on there. So before I get into playing you these 4 songs and giving you commentary on each one, I want to tell you a little bit about my creative process. What I typically do, and I've been making beats for over a decade now. It all started in college. A girl I was dating had GarageBand on her laptop. Every MacBook comes with GarageBand, but I started making beats on GarageBand. And then my cousin, who is like really a great mixer, master, he helps master people's albums, which means like getting the sound as good as it can be. I need to send these beats to him so he can help mix and master these songs. I just gave it my own ear test, but my cousin is the one who helped me upgrade from just GarageBand to Logic Pro, which is like a real production software. So, I could, you saw my guitar in the thumbnail, like I could play guitar in there and then change it and manipulate the sounds, or it comes with a host of sounds so I can make beats. What I do is I plug a keyboard up. It's called a MIDI keyboard, and then you can select the sound. So I could have my keyboard like a piano key and I could change it to like, all right, I want it to sound like these drums. And then I can play drums using the keyboard. And then I can change the sounds and all that type of stuff. And then you can record directly into it. So very cool software. But my process is I start with the beat. I start making the music and it comes together. And sometimes while I'm making it, lyrics will pop into my head. Sometimes as I'm making it, it's just like I have so many beats that I haven't thought of anything to write to it. It'll just be like, man, I like the way this song sounds, but I can't think of anything that I want to write to it. Maybe it just needs to be an instrumental. But I do have the occasional tracks that I'm listening back to after I make the beat and I'm like, oh, this would be, let me write this. And then I usually write it and then I'll rehearse it over and over again. And then when I feel like I have it memorized to where I don't have to read it, I'll just hit record. And usually I'll do a couple takes because I'm a perfectionist. But that's my process. Make the beat, write to it, and then record myself. So anyway, let's get into it. This first one is called Supply and Demand. This was one of those beats where I was making it and I'm like, man, this is some of my best work. I feel like I'm gonna need to write something to this. And I made it in November of last year, November of 2023. Took me probably like some beats come together like this, like I could finish it in one day. This one, I kept chipping away at it. Probably took me about 2 weeks before I was like, man, this beat is done. And then I was traveling and I was walking through the airport listening to it. I like to listen to my music in different settings when I'm driving around or going for a walk. And I was walking through the airport and the lyrics just started coming to me to the point where I was walking to my gate. I'm like, all right, I have some time right now. Let me just sit down and write what's coming to me. And I wrote it. I wrote the whole song in like 10 minutes sitting at a different gate in the airport. And when I got back, I recorded it. And so the song is called Supply and Demand. Truthfully, what I'm really talking about is supplying my own demand, meaning like you can make what you want of this song. I'm talking a lot about the stress of being a new father and, the nerves that I had leading up to fatherhood. Like the first line of the song is, I was so busy trying to get ahead, afraid of falling behind. One thing I had to realize, it was all in my mind. 18-hour days, I was stuck in the grind, thinking how I'm gonna get paid, but it was all in due time. So it's starting out with things that I was actually going through at that time, being like a month away from my son being born. and the fear and the nerves that I was having. But then you'll hear throughout the song, I'm talking about like, I believe like I'm going to be taken care of. Like, I know God's got my back no matter how nervous I feel. And then the supply and demand part is more like supply and demand in terms of I'm basically demanding myself to get this off of my chest. Like, there's a demand for me to release this stuff, and I created my own supply by making the beat, if that makes sense. But there are a lot of different layers to what supply and demand means. So take it and run with it, and I hope you interpret what supply and demand means for you. And I hope that the message in this song resonates with you in some way, shape, or form. Let me know what you think. Let me know, like, hey, Taj, that was trash, or some of this music was good. By the way, before I get into playing the music, I do want to encourage you to listen with AirPods or headphones, or it's not necessarily, if you're playing this off of your phone speakers, it may not sound the best because it's not mixed or mastered yet, but it will sound good in the car. If you're driving around listening to this, by all means, turn it up, and if you're listening on your phone, please just put in some headphones or AirPods or something so that you can really hear the music. You won't necessarily be able to hear it as good off the iPhone speakers or like off your phone speakers because, like I said, it's not mixed or mastered yet. Without further ado, here's Supply and Demand. Written, produced, recorded by yours truly.
Thoughts in my head as I board this flight. Even on my worst day, I'm having faith in the plan. Come on. All these thoughts in my head as I board this flight. And even on my worst day, I was so busy trying to get ahead, afraid of falling behind. One thing I had to realize, it was all in my mind. 18-hour days, I was stuck in the grind, thinking how I'm gonna get paid, but it was all in due time. My son about to be born, I feel the weight on my chest. Frustration saying in, but I'm just doing my best. Real life examinations, put myself to the test. Keep your eyes on the prize, look alive on this quest. See what else is a man but a quest to be great. I hope you understand that it's never too late. I know it's weighing on you, got a lot on your plate. I got a date with destiny, but I'm controlling my fate. You heard it from the source, baby, please understand. Even on my worst day, I'm having faith in the plan. We doing what we wanna do, they do what they can. Might wake up in the morning, book a flight to Japan. This is what it sound like when supply meets demand. This is what it sound like when supply meets demand. You heard it from the source, baby, please understand. Even on my worst day, I'm having faith in the plan. We doing what we wanna do, they do what they can. We doing what we wanna do, they do what they can. Hey yo, I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. That had to be God, who else could it be? I'm talking to us, I brought you a key to open your mind up and set yourself free. Follow me, I got blessings on me, it ain't for the low. I've been tapping in with God, sticking to the code. Couple bumps in the road, but that's just how it goes. I walk a narrow path, it's like I'm pigeon-toed. Life comes at you fast, that's what I've been told. Meditating with my lady, trying to take it slow. Don't be coming around us if you ain't got no goals. Don't bring no fake around us or you gon' get exposed. I might bend, but I won't break it, I will never fold. I'ma take care of the fam just like I'm supposed. I've been working out daily, staying fit for the fight. Just some thoughts in my head as I board this flight. You heard it from the source, baby, please understand. Even on my worst day, I'm having faith in the plan. We doing what we wanna do, they do what they can. Might wake up in the morning, book a flight to Japan. This is what it sound like when supply meets demand. This is what it sound like when supply meets demand. I've been working out daily, staying fit for the fight. Just some thoughts in my head as I board this flight. Come on.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that one. This next one, and once again, like I said, if you don't want to hear the commentary, you can just click the SoundCloud link in the show notes and you can just listen to these songs, as well as like some really old instrumentals that I have on my SoundCloud page. But you can listen to these 4 songs, the 4 songs that I consider to be some of my best work. Like, I'm putting together an album, and these 4 songs will for sure be on the album, in addition to some other stuff I'm recording right now. But this next one is called All Right, Okay. I told you different songs come together during different time periods. I produced this song, wrote the lyrics, and recorded it in one day. I woke up one morning and I was going through some files of like old beats I was working on. And I was like, how did I not finish this one? This one is a gem. And I had nothing, like, except for just a couple of sounds, like the main melody where it's like you'll hear it. The melody's like doom, 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 doom. I'm out of key, but whatever. So I had that. I didn't have drums. I didn't have anything else on it. I woke up, I found it, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a good one. Let me finish this one." I finished the beat, probably like 45 minutes tops. And then I took a break and I was drinking some coffee. And these lyrics just started coming to me. Like I saw like an old post that I had that said the only thing the only constant is change. And then that reminded me of like it just this line came to me. The only thing remains the same is everything is gonna change. I dedicate this to my family. You've been keeping me sane. You know, I was going through some hard times and my family just having conversations with them was keeping me afloat mentally. So I say that to say after I made the beat, and I had that first line, everything else just started flowing. The only thing remains the same is everything is going to change. I dedicate this to my family. You've been keeping me sane. I'm finding reasons to be grateful even when I'm in pain. I got a baby due December. I'm going to give him my name. Can't wait till he get old enough for me to give him some game. All right, don't get me started. Don't get me started. But so I started writing those lyrics. And then I, wrote those lyrics probably like 20, 30 minutes. Then I went and recorded immediately. And like first take, I was happy with it. I listened back. I still had to change the levels and, get my voice sounding the way I wanted to on the track. I don't do auto tune or anything like that, but there's a certain pocket that you want your voice to sit in on the beat. So anyway, and it's called All Right, Okay, because I didn't know what to call it. It was just like, as the lyrics were coming to me, it was just one continuous verse. Like there was no hook. Not that you have to have some formal structure. I believe in breaking the rules of, a musical track. It doesn't have to be like verse, hook, but it was like one long verse. And I was like, okay, maybe this won't have a hook on it. But I found myself like at the beginning of the song or when I would take a break, I would be like, all right, okay, then. Well, all right, okay. Almost like cheering myself on in some kind of way. And then as I listened back to it, I was like, why don't I just call it All Right, Okay? Because like you'll hear there's one part in the song where I started singing that and I was just like, I think that's going to be the hook. I don't know where to put that, but I think that's going to be the hook. So anyway, without further ado, this is All Right, Okay. Check it out.
Thank you. Y'all are far too kind. Always on do not disturb, so don't be disturbing me. Check it out. The only thing remains the same is everything is gonna change. I dedicate this to my family, you've been keeping me sane. I'm finding reasons to be grateful even when I'm in pain. I got a baby due December, I'ma give him my name. Can't wait till he get old enough for me to give him some game. I'm looking at the bigger picture, reconstructing my frame. Baby, I'm on the way to get you on the roast with your lane. She held it down when I had nothing, look at who I became. I dedicate this to my lady cause she never complained when my account was overdrawn because the funds was delayed. I got away before the sun and found a way to get paid. The pressure might have weighed a ton, but I was never afraid. The pressure might have weighed a ton, but I was never afraid. Well, alright, okay then. Well, alright, okay. That's gonna be the hook. I'm gonna be like, well, alright, okay then. Well, alright, okay. Well, alright, okay then. I just gotta figure out where I wanna put that. I might need to drink some tea. I'm losing my voice a little bit. Let's keep it going. My phone always on do not disturb, so don't be disturbing me. If you ain't talking about no business, don't say a word. Don't really care about what you heard if you ain't heard it from me. And I ain't just giving out respect, you gotta earn it from me. Freedom is a state of mind, keep your thinking simple. If my life's an instrumental, I've been working on my tempo. I don't gamble, I make sure bets. Life comes at you fast, I didn't even cash the check. I just tucked it in the stash, I took all of my regrets and I stuck them in the trash. I'm just plotting on the future, learning lessons from the past. Man, it's crazy how it all works out. We hustle in the day, at night we get smoked out. Seen it coming from a distance, had it all scoped out. I've been working so consistent, man, that's all I'm about. Just focused on the mission, not the fame or the clout. It ain't no stopping me, peep the philosophy. Back up off of me, I'm way above your comments like apostrophes. I'm proud of me, I'm proud of you too. And when the going gets tough, just know I'll ride for you too. Wifey look me in the eyes, said I would die for you too. Ain't nothing like the love of a good woman, it's true. You got my back, I got your back, I never lie to you, true. We only talk about what we do doing not what we trying to do. Well, alright, okay then. Well, alright, if you looking for God, just know that God is inside you. Know I'm standing 6 foot, pressure got me feeling 5'2", but you know that I got it, and we gon' be okay. And God keeps on providing each and every day. Come on. Well, alright, okay then. Well, alright, okay. Well, alright, okay then. Well, alright, okay.
That boy is good.
All right, and we're back. So I'm having a lot of fun with this episode. This is fun, man. See, this just goes to show you, like, I've been smiling this whole time. Like, I need to, if you're watching on YouTube, I've been smiling probably from the time I started talking about music and started playing the episodes and talking about what went into it. I've been smiling this whole time. So I hope that drives the point home for you that when you do something, when you do things that you enjoy, like, it should feel like this. Like, this is so much fun for me to record this episode, and it feels vulnerable to be like, hey, this is music I'm making and opening it up to criticism, but like, this is fun for me, you know? So anyway, this next song is called The Rest. This beat came together probably over the course of like 3 weeks, and I had another version, a lot of similar lyrics that you'll hear in this one, but I ended up, like, I recorded this one like 3 different times. The first one I was like, something's off about that. So I did it again. And then I was like, I'm just going to change like half these lyrics and move stuff around. So this one was more of a process, but I'll get into it. I won't give you a super long intro like I did on the past two. But the reason this one is called The Rest is because basically I say, don't stress about the future no more. All I got to do is keep going. God gonna take care of the rest. All I could do is do my best. That line, like, at the time I was trying to remind myself that I don't need to stress about the future. All I got to do is keep going. Things have always worked out before, so why would things be any different now? And then, like, reminding myself that all I'm responsible for is doing my part, and God is going to take care of the rest. Like, as long as I'm putting work in and doing what I need to do and doing the right things and staying on the right path, God's going to take care of the rest. So that's why the song is called The Rest. All I can do is do my best. God's going to take care of the rest. Check it out. Oh, by the way, one more side note. You see me, I mentioned I'm wearing my shroom hat today. I recorded this song. I actually wrote this song and made the beat while I was on mushrooms, which are a great source of inspiration for me. So yeah, check it out. It's called The Rest.
Well, it's a Friday night, the vibe is right. We back at it again. I ain't drinking, I ain't smoking, but I'm on them shrooms again. Couple caps, couple stems, think they might be kicking in. Don't need no paper or no pen, just hit record, I'm going in. Hey, what you got in that bag? Don't worry about that, some things just ain't for you to know. And like some paper towels, baby, lately we been on the road. Oh, this flow unorthodox, that means it's out the box, but it's in mint condition. I've been doing me, apparently these days you need permission. Bankrupt, guess they couldn't afford to pay attention. Zans, lean, and perks, man, they rapping about addiction. We only focused on making a difference. Move with intention when making moves. Nobody cares what you about your shoes. Nobody cares what she bought her purse. She always on Instagram. Ain't no filter that can show your worth. One day we all gotta see the hearse. What they gon' say about you when you go? I told my son, just be yourself. Don't go through your life putting on a show. Don't go through your life putting on a show. Don't go through your life putting on a show. And I know what it feels like to be stressing. At times I felt hopeless. I was lost, no sense of direction. Cloudy vision, losing my focus. I just had to gain a new perspective. I just had to let my mind stay open. Realize every day is a blessing. Gotta motivate yourself to keep going. Let's keep it going, I got more to say. Tell your people them I said, hey, stay away from me with the fake. Post it in the cut, out the way. Too much drive, can't hit the brakes. For my tribe, do what it takes. Everybody eats, grab a plate. Ahead of my time, can't be late. Forgive me if I ate myself lately. I know God got me, but I'm so impatient. Stay away from me if you're lazy. If you owe me, hurry up and pay me enough to drive a sane man crazy. Taj, where you been at lately? Heard you got married, had a baby. I've been thinking different about life. Call me when you got a better price. I'm playing with my son, dad life. God is in you, not up in the sky. Stand strong, God is by your side. Ain't a question if I'm down to ride. All I wanna do is make it proud. Never blending in with the crowd. Keep it down, you're talking too loud. Let's just keep the space nice and mellow. Tell your people them I said hello. Maybe stop living in the past. Only thing behind you is some ass. Don't stress about the future no more. All I gotta do is keep going. God gon' take care of the rest. All I can do is do my best.
Last but not least, this is one of those songs. This one is called Around Us slash Running Shoes. It's random. It's really random. This is one of those songs that I actually started making the beat in 2016, I want to say. Maybe even earlier than that. This might be like a 2015. The beat is almost a decade old. If you listen to, I actually had an original song. Like if you go back a couple episodes, the episode on this podcast that's titled "Is This the End of Thrive After Sports?" If you hear the music that's in the background, like there's a few songs, they're all my beats that are playing in the background while I'm talking. But the first song that comes on when the episode starts is the original beat that I started working on in 2015 or 2016. By the way, almost all the music that you've ever heard on Thrive After Sports was music that I produced. Once again, this goes back to using my creativity to be able to incorporate that into other things. So I'm like, I don't need to like buy music or, copy other people's music. I'll just make my own music and that'll be the music that goes into the show. So any music you've ever heard on this show playing in the background is music that I produced. But anyway, if you go back to the episode titled "Is This the End of Thrive After Sports?" the first beat that you hear playing in the background is one that I made like 2015, 2016. Never could figure out what to do with it. It was like, this might just be an instrumental. I'm not really writing anything to it. But on this next song that you're about to hear, what I ended up doing one day was stripping all the instruments except for the drums. And then I basically started a new track. I know this is like nerd talk, but for those of you guys who, if you guys have made music or just understand what goes into it, like I think you'll appreciate the creative process behind this. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. If not, just skip it, go to SoundCloud, listen to the songs. But what I'm saying is the music you hear on the intro to the "Is This the End of Thrive After Sports" episode, the first song that plays, I stripped the other instruments and just left the drums. And I was listening to the drums and I basically made a new beat on top of the drums. So I stripped everything but the drums and then played new instruments on top of it. And that ended up being this song. And for whatever reason, with those new instruments, then the juices started flowing and I started writing stuff. Now, I'll be honest with you. It's one of those songs where it's like, you might listen and be like, what is this song about? But it was so much fun to make. And I think it sounds cool. And I ended up kind of recording different lyrics. Like I was testing out different ideas. So like the reason it's called Around Us slash Running Shoes, because at first it was going to be a song, kind of like almost like a love song in a sense. My wife is singing on this, by the way. How could I leave that out? At the end of the song, she sings a little bit. We were going to do a song and it's like, the lyrics are, ain't no complaining around us. Keep it positive if you gonna hang around us. Big deposits, money ain't a thing around us. In a world full of lies, we all need someone to trust. Baby, you the one I trust. So that's where the "around us" comes from. And then the running shoes part, I was just freestyling, which, it actually I actually ended up leaving this on the song because I thought it sounded cool. It was like, I hope you brought your running shoes. We on the move. I've been betting on myself. I can't lose. So like almost two completely different themes or subjects for the song, but they kind of work well together and it's just random and it's art. It doesn't always, it's more abstract. It doesn't have to be like this nice, neat little box where everything flows together. So that's what you're about to listen to. It's called, I forgot the name of the song. It's called Around Us slash Running Shoes. Enjoy.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Okay. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Let's go. We got it now. Ain't no stopping now. Made this beat in my kitchen, yeah, I'm cooking now. Hold up, once you catch this wave, you can't just put it down. You come right acting strange, we might catch you down. Hold up, once you get to stepping, you don't step around. You stepping in one place, you need to move around. Yeah. Ain't no complaining around us. Keep it positive if you gon' hang around us. Big deposits, money ain't a thing around us. In a world full of lies, we all need someone to trust. Baby, you the one I trust. Man, I've been shining, don't need diamonds on my wrist. Okay. This a new style, you ain't heard nothing like this. I've been serving food for thought with dessert. Thank God for everything I got, I deserve it. I'm here for a good time, not a designer shoes, we on the move. I've been betting on myself, how can I lose? Chip on my shoulder too, got something to prove. Miss me with the politics, I don't watch the news. Spitting all on this beat like I gotta miss it too. She wearing sunscreen cause my car ain't got no roof. If you ain't talking money, you can keep it 2 cents. You started acting funny, you ain't seen me ever since. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Ain't no complaint around us. Keep it positive if you gon' hang around us. Big deposits, money ain't a thing around us. In a world full of lies, we all need someone to trust. Baby, you the one I trust.
Stop recording now.
All right, and that brings us to the end of the episode. If you listen to this whole thing, you must really rock with your boy, or you just really wanted to hear the music. I don't know. But thank you for listening. I appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, like the video, check out some of my other videos. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel that aren't on the audio podcast. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify and you ever got value from anything I've ever shared on this podcast, please subscribe, leave a rating or review. Even if you don't write a review, it just really helps if you click that 5-star button on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. So I appreciate you tuning in. Once again, if you want to listen to the music without having to sort through all my commentary on this episode, just click the SoundCloud link in the show notes. And yeah, thank you. And by the way, once again, the whole point of me sharing all this was to let you know, like I said earlier in the episode, that we all have creative gifts, and I want you to really examine yourself and audit yourself to see what gifts have been lying dormant in your life, and how can you dig those back up, so to speak, and incorporate them into what you do on a daily basis, or just use it as some sort of outlet or unwind time. All right. So that's the first reason. The other reason is I've been sitting on this music, waiting for it to be perfect, waiting for it to be mixed and mastered and all that type of stuff. I'm just like, you know what? Let me just put it out. And that's what I did today. So thank you for listening.